I'm going to say hello to everyone. Howdy from Austin, Texas. Hello, everybody. I don't know if I should leave it a minute whilst people come in, but I'll bring up my screen and you all can say if you can see it. Here we are. Okay. So if you see me looking off to my right, it's because I have another screen over there and I can see you guys in the chat down there. And it's like you can see what's going on. So cool. Slow start. But here I am. I'm Phil. I'm here with Superside. I am the creative director of New Horizons at Superside. What that means is I look after generative AI and scaling that out within our business. So we've been pretty deeply invested in the generative AI plus brand plus creative space for a good while now. And so hopefully we can share some of those learnings with you. And looking forward to getting into it. So I will tell you a little bit about Superside. We're kind of the challenger to the antiquated agency model. We are a fully globally distributed team of lots and lots and lots of wonderful creatives who I have the fortunate pleasure with of working with incredible people from all over the world. We have our own proprietary tech platform. That means that we can onboard customers, work with customers, make sure all the projects go super smoothly, kind of integrate and collaborate. It keeps the whole process super easy. It also means that's why we've been able to move so quickly with adopting generative AI, because we own the stack and we can integrate the stack. And we have a unique model of working with our customers. It means we work with our customers on a subscription basis. That means they get the ultimate value out of Superside. It means that their hours roll over when they don't need them. It means there's good value for our customers, and everyone hopefully is happy. And as we work, with incredible clients. So huge tech companies, startups, mid-market, across a lot of different sectors. It keeps us incredibly busy. I couldn't speak to every customer that we have in a year if I tried. And it's an amazingly kind of fertile testing ground for me personally of working with generative AI and brand and communication and how we can truly make it work, how it's kind of moves from being theory and like kind of these academic ways of looking at it into real practical use cases that our customers want. And so our approach to generative AI is humans and AI are better together. So Superside has and always will have the kind of top 1% of creative talent from around the world. And now we are pairing that with like this crazy new technology and seeing where things go. What we have generally found is when you put large language models, diffusion models, generative AI in general in the hands of crazily creative people, they will get kind of far outweighed outcomes compared to just the general populace. Like you will get incredible results with generative AI plus really crazy talented people. So better together, and it enhances and it doesn't replace. We have seen no trend of replacement at all. In fact, I would say it's made our most valuable people more valuable. And it's kind of brought our most valuable customers closer to us as well, because we're able to pass on value to them. A little bit of like a bit of the detail of that. We have a couple of different ways of approaching generative AI and like tooling. So we kind of split it into enhanced and advanced at the moment. The status quo tools are Midjourney, which we're going to get into today, GPT-4, maybe through the lens of ChatGPT, but GPT-4 either through API or through ChatGPT. DALL-E 3, which has another place within it, but also through ChatGPT. We have our own internal tooling as well. So for Craft, helps us aggregate data sets, aggregate prompts, transform prompts, and actually helps us create brand profiles around our customers. So it kind of empowers the rest of the tools. And then things we won't be going into today is like more advanced areas. It's obviously a wide gamut of services. Like Superside does everything from the nose to tail of brand work. So it could be digital marketing consultancy, all the way through to 3D model creation, augmented reality, live video production. Like we literally do everything, and we do it all in-house. So we need a very large tool set when it comes to all of those things. Yeah, things like comfy UI and stable diffusion are very much within our realms, but we are going to focus today on the enhanced tool sets that we're kind of going to talk about today. And the aim of this presentation is to try, if you are at a cold start within your business at the moment, if you don't know where to begin, is to try and like put you in this first area of discovery. There's a lot of, I guess, initial inertia from pushing from non-generative AI workflows into AI workflows, knowing where to start, knowing what tool to pick, knowing where to place your poker chips when you are looking at investment, looking at upskilling, looking at training. Everything is quite scary at the beginning, and you also don't know if it will be effective. Well, I'm kind of here to tell you that it will be effective, because we are seeing some really crazily demonstrable results in that space. We are on average, we have saved our customers 40% of the hours that it would have taken to produce like-for-like work when working with the generative AI creative team. That can, though, range from 25 to 85% hours reduction, depending on the product that we're operating within. So we've got like hard data to show that it works, to show that our customers like it, to show that we're in a very positive place with it. So I want to try and help anyone that hasn't started down this AI plus scaling out brand assets journey, and to kind of push past that initial phase. So we're going to focus on discovery, like testing new tools. But the thing that I would say, then it kind of, there's this path that you will go on after that. This is how we see it, is this discovering this new tool, like discovering new tools, testing, playing, figuring out what works, and then trying to adopt that into daily use. That then operationalize siloed usage is probably where you have the fastest progression within the business. Like get a small crack team working on it daily, really testing, iterating, playing, putting it out there. Systematizing like multi-tool systems, multi-team systems, and automation is kind of where we are within this journey, is in like increasing that complexity, increasing that efficacy, increasing the products that it can be within. Full customization of foundational model training is, I guess, the one of the end goals here. Not something we're going to touch today, but just good to see like where things potentially could go. But I kind of want to focus this on the practical. So the title of this was, scaling creative for better brands. And if you look at ad creative, or if you look at brand assets, sometimes they are supply constrained. So that could be because of time, that could be because of cost. It could be because you don't have anyone in your team that knows what they're doing with those things. So there is generally supply constraints around good creative to sit within your brand. And so we're going to focus on one place to start with. One caveat to this is I'm not going into like, how do you set up Discord, and how do you set up Midjourney, and how do you do those kind of functional things. Like, there is areas to find those pieces of information. So let's assume that you can get to Discord and you can go into Midjourney. You can go to the Midjourney website, but Discord is what I would recommend. And also, I would say Midjourney is by far, I'm trying to find the right words. I think Midjourney is by far the most ubiquitous, but also just the most effective tool as a Swiss Army knife of creation. So you don't need to necessarily pick the model. You don't need to pick any fine tuning on top of that model. You don't. All you need to do is know how to prompt. So yeah, Stable Diffusion, if you're technically minded, it's definitely a wonderful place to go. Comfy UI with stable diffusion is like, you can get really into the weeds there. But yeah, Midjourney is what I would recommend if you're going to start off. And yeah, let's get into it. So this kind of proposition is called asset hacking, and kind of bashed this around with a friend of mine called Rory Flynn, who you should go and follow on LinkedIn as well. He has taught us a lot, and we've tried to teach him stuff back. And he's it's a really interesting community around Midjourney and how you how you can get what you want from Midjourney. But this process or proposition of asset hacking is, how do you take something that's within your brand, understand that through the lens of language, and then get something that you want back out of it, which is in line with your brand. So we can look at this through the lens of one brand. The disclaimer here is use it on your own brand. Try and do this process to further your own creative rather than to kind of plagiarize others. But that's my little legal disclaimer on this. But hacking an asset, taking the original, and then finding a way to get something that you want from it is going to be the purpose of this going forward. So I'm going to do this in 4 different steps. Step number 1, we'll collect some assets. And I don't want to go to be too boring around like data hygiene, but data set collection, having a good organized system of your assets is kind of the prerequisite here. I've worked in the creative industries, most of my career, and it is quite scary. Like, sometimes, not at Superside, but sometimes how kind of unorganized this area can be. People assume that they have good assets, but like collecting something that is worth amplifying and it's worth hacking is step 1. And it's the most boring step, but it's the most important step. So like getting things together that you want to then amplify and hack and move forward with. Step 2 is using Midjourney's inbuilt describe function to tell you what it thinks that asset is and what it thinks that image is. Then going through this iteration and fine-tuning process to get a prompt that will help move that asset forward. And then step 4 is adding the original asset back into that prompt. So you then end up with, ideally, something that is similar to what you want, but different enough that it's been worth making. So step 1. I'm not going to use my brand with this, so I'm going to use Red Bull. It's a very recognizable brand. I would say there's an area here within marketing, brand, and creative that it actually shows you if you have good differentiation, if you can do this process. If you're getting average results out of it, it might mean that you're doing it averagely, or it might mean that your brand is average, and it means that you need better differentiation or less homogenous brand aesthetic. So it's quite an interesting like litmus test for your brand to see like, oh, I can actually get something cohesive, visually cohesive through doing this process. So yeah, Red Bull is where we're going to start, and then describe. I think this like whole thing, this presentation is only going to take like another like 10 minutes or so. So you guys can get ready in the chat if you want to. And if you've got any questions, we can do some stuff live afterwards as well. I'm much more fans of doing stuff live. I don't really like decks and presenting. I'd rather do things. So like, if you want to get ready in the chat and challenge me to do a thing, let's go for it as we go through. So using the describe function. So if you're within Discord and you're within Midjourney, you do /describe, and then you upload your asset, and it will tell you what it thinks that is. So this asset being uploaded, Red Bull is described. You see at the top here, number 1, Red Bull racing car on a slope track in the style of bold contrast, rich hues, polka dots, dark gray, and amber. These are all the kind of strange nebulous words that Midjourney will come up with. And it will give you these 4 options. And you go to the bottom and you click Imagine All. When you click Imagine All, it will then run 4 sets of prompts to then create those images. And these are the results here. And so look at the results. I do not think they're quite right. So overtly stylized, kind of more, I guess, video game aesthetic than sports photography aesthetic. We won't go in too much detail onto the writing on the car, because that's always a little bit funky at the moment. DALL-E does it better than Midjourney does, but there is things that AI is not so wonderful at the moment. But tonally and composition wise, it isn't feeling correct. So I've described this image, but it's not getting it quite right. It's getting a Red Bull car on a road, some mountains in the background, which is interesting. It's an interesting thing, but it's not quite right to use. And I wouldn't, if I was in Red Bull's marketing team, I wouldn't be using this asset. So luckily we have another little friend in this process, and that is a large language model. And so a large language model is very, very good at sentiment analysis. It's very, very good at finding frequencies of words. It's very, very good at comparing, summarizing, transforming, and extrapolating from text. So let's lean into what it's good at and go back and take a couple of these described prompts and go to ChatGPT, paste in a couple of the described prompts with a prompt that says, use this formula to structure the prompt, include specific camera lenses, camera settings, and use short and powerful keywords and phrases. Okay, that's the structure that you'd want to use. And then I've got here just a little screenshot of like some good things to think about when it comes to photography. So shot type and composition, subject, environment, lens, camera settings, supporting gear, image quality, filters, lighting, and modifiers. There is a whole world of like prompt engineering that you could get into when it comes to photography. I would say search Rory Flynn on LinkedIn and look at his stuff. He is wonderful at it, and he's got loads of great resources outside of what I'm saying right now, which is just start doing it. Like the way to get good at doing this is to do it. There is no shortcut to doing it. Just try and move forward with it. So I'm going to keep jumping through these. I've taken a couple of these prompts. I've asked ChatGPT to add in camera details, okay, and combine the blended prompt of two described areas that have come out from describe. Okay, so I've taken two description prompts, asked for some photography detail to be added in, asked for some combinations. Then sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. You just ask it to do these things, and if it looks like it's in the right space, you take it. If it's not coming back with what you want, be specific with ChatGPT. Tell it what it's not right about. Like, it's very, very similar to working with an intern. Just be really clear, really thoughtful, really patient, and it will come back with something that you want eventually. So here's a new prompt. Panning shot, Red Bull car racing, dark, indigo, and amber. So there is kind of composition type, the subject matter, the color, the setting is on a hillside. Sorry, excuse me. And then we go into the stuff that will make it better. A Canon EOS 1D X Mark II with a 70 to 200 millimeter lens in a 35 millimeter film style with dappled sunlight, bold contrast, with delicate precision, high speed capture, low ISO, wide aperture, aspect ratio 16:9. So much of that detail is to do with what the camera should be like and what it should be shooting it and how it should be shooting it. So then we go from the original on the left to these on the right here. And so in terms of tonality of this image, we are getting closer. So the shutter speed feels a little bit tighter to what's going on. So there's good motion blur with it. There's good bokeh in the background. The color space feels a little bit more coherent, but it's still not quite right. And if we look here, if we then go back and take this original image, and the way that we do this in Midjourney, we just drag the image into the prompt. So we take the original image, we drag it down into the prompt bar and add it back in. We then get the prompt, the image here, directing part of the prompt. So now we've got the original image on the left, and the hacked image on the right. For me, I would then go back into this with Photoshop and clean it up, right? So some things wouldn't be true to life with the car. You can see the fin at the back wouldn't be true to life with the car. Some of the colors that you'd want to dial up or dial down a bit, you'd want to it's a little bit too contrasty. So you take a little bit of contrast out of it. But it's got us to 80% of the way there. And from someone that runs a large team that does this kind of thing, 80% of the way there is good enough. It's good enough because we don't want 100% of the way there all the time. Firstly, it's not in line with the quality of the work that we produce at Superside. Like, we always go that extra mile to make sure everything is as good as it can be. Secondly, if you're doing no authorship with your AI generated work, there is zero chance you will ever get granted derivative copyright for that. So doing some authorship with your work, adding more things to it, taking things away from it, gives you more of a chance of getting derivative copyright with that. So that process of going from, if we go back to the beginning, describing it to get to these original kind of like quite stylized results, taking the description, blending those descriptions, adding in camera detail, getting that prompt back, seeing if that works, adding in the image as an image prompt, and getting really, really close. So hopefully this is specific enough for you guys. Right. Then, fun times. So now we can iterate. We have found a good combination of words and images that can help us then start to extrapolate from that into areas that we want to then transform into new things. So we can start to prompt from base assets over here into new assets over here, whole other realms of images. And when we get it right, say for example, this bike here on the right, we can then do 100 versions of that, 100 different iterations. Yeah. And we can stop having a supply constraint when it comes to on-brand imagery, because we have found a mechanic through testing, iterating, understanding, and then applying these prompt structures plus the image prompts to go from input to hacked output. I need to cough, so I'm going to turn my mic off for a second. Just give me 1 second. I do apologize. Okay, right. Sorry about that. I've been on calls all day today, so I'm literally losing my voice. I think we're getting close to the end here of this one section. I think I'm probably a faster talk than I was anticipating. I thought it was going to take 40 minutes, but I've done it in 25. But it gives us loads of time for questions, and I'm quite happy to go into other things if you guys want to go into other things. So what we've talked about here is testing new tools. My recommendation, if you're going to be serious about it, is get into Midjourney. ChatGPT is fun for like kind of, I guess, cuter things, and especially for DALL-E with cuter things. But if you want to get serious about photography and photography assets with AI, Midjourney is the market leader at the moment. My recommendation as a business is test, play, have fun with it. You don't know what's going to work for your business. The only way to do it is to test. Moving through to adoption of daily usage, operationalizing that within a specialized team, then turning that into systems that work across the business, and then customizing that at the final end. When people think of generative AI, they think of training first and then rolling these things out. For me, I think of discovering first and getting to training towards the end of it. What we're doing is quite ambitious. This is what I want to get to across different areas. Is in like, we want to have custom trained models per customer. We are already generating well over 5,000 brand assets a week. I think we're like doing that a day at the moment now. There is so much asset generation going on with what we do. We're scaling this out to try and 10x our impact within the business within the next year. And then, the aim of this is saving our customers costs. So 30 to 85% is where we're currently sat. And we pass those savings on to our customers. And we are driving down cost and driving up value for our customers as we continue to scale out this business. So, man, I did that really quickly. So I'm gonna I am gonna stop there on screen sharing, and then we can see if we've got any questions, because I will then jump into any questions or any Q&A. Give me a second. Where will I find the questions? What are the best prompts to use when creating a content plan, Ariana? Okay, so if we're looking at content plan from a strategic and like creative part, as in not necessarily the assets that go within it, I'm never going to tell people like direct prompts, because I hate doing that. I don't think prompts are the right way of doing it. I think chain of thought prompting is the right way to do it. So when working with ChatGPT, there's the way that I would go for this content plan approach is go and speak to ChatGPT for half an hour about this. So don't ask it to play a role straight away. Ask it, how can you help me get a content plan? Ask me questions about what you need to know about my business to get really specific about this content plan. Ask it not to give you generic ideas. Ask it not to give up until it's got to specific ideas. And do that for a long period of time. Go through that process within the conversation. As you start to get something good back from ChatGPT, kind of give it like a compliment or reward for doing that, as in like saying like, this is good and this is why it's good and this is why I like it. If you do that again, when you get to something that you like, ask it to then create a prompt for itself so it can repeat it in the future. When you get to that point, you can then maybe take that and make a GPT from that. But I do not think there is any better replication of going like, here's the 14 magic words that you need to add into a prompt to get a good content plan, than just spending time with it and looking at it as a collaborator versus I'm going to take this screen share off for a second, unless you guys want me to jump in to do some prompting, which we can do, by the way. I'll try and look directly at you. Let me just, there we are. So yeah, I don't know if that's like a good answer to that question, but you know, here are the 10 prompts to 10x your productivity stuff is not it's a little bit bullshit in my opinion, because you know, nothing replaces good critical thought. Okay, question from Isa. You mentioned Superside's craft. What is it really doing? Okay. Supersize Craft is a repository and self-learning tool to make sure that we can create brand work across the myriad of customers that we have. So when you operate at the scale that Superside operates at, it is we're not doing like 10 or 15 things a week. We're in the thousands of things a week, and understanding how to prompt across all those different brands is really difficult. So we built a tool to capture all the prompts, transform those prompts so we can then reuse them. That happens at an image level for image production. That happens at a text level for text production. And it happens at a data set level for like kind of brand data sets. So it solves an internal problem because we have like a huge volume of work that goes through the business all the time. Sorry. Feel free to go share an example. Yeah, no, I don't think I need to show any Superside examples. I mean, I can do if you want me to. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm cool with, I like the interaction. We want to see some live prompting. Okay, you need to give me a brief. Where should we go? Yeah, should we try and find something? Name a brand. Like let's try and like do that process. It's got to be a good visual brand though. Come on, Blair. want you to name a brand. Someone name a brand. Apple. Oof, okay. Go straight for the hardest one. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's do it. All right. So, give me a second. Let's do something. Apple. It's like when people say, what do they want their brand to be like? They're like, oh, we really like what Apple's done. It's like, oh, great. Just the number one brand in the world. Fair enough. Let's try and go for the number one brand in the world. Okay. Okay, right. Got that. Let's do that. Right. Go find some stuff. So if you then, let's see. Let's do Apple headquarters. Let's try that. Cool. Okay. We'll start off with this. So right. So I've got Discord open. I'm going to ask it to describe an image for me. And then I'm going to take this image, find the image. Here it is. It's going to ask, I'm going to ask it to tell me what it thinks it is. So let's do Apple iPhone. Let's find another one. See if it can be, we need like a reasonable one that makes sense. In someone's hand or like product photography. Okay. Right, here we go. So down here, I'm afraid I can't zoom in on Midjourney. Like even if I make it bigger, it just like it's still the same. So you're going to see down here that we've got these things. I'm going to imagine all of those prompts. So see, it's here. It thinks this is what Apple's headquarters is. Then I am going to go to ChatGPT and pull this up. So I want you to, okay. I want you to help me make Midjourney prompts and combine different prompts I have, but add in photography and, sorry, I can't write, photography and composition detail. Can you help with that? Cool. So I'm going to work with ChatGPT. I've just taken this one asset here, described it. I've got some interesting things come back. So like this is golden hour oblique shots. Some of these are actually cool, to be honest. Like that one there, top left, actually you'd probably end up maybe using as is. These are a little bit too like sci-fi-y. So I'm going to take this one. So I'm going to take this one here, go to ChatGPT, and this one here. Okay, so let's go combine these and add in photographic details for a Canon 1D Mark II 70mm lens. Okay. Cool. I don't know if anyone's actually here now. I'm start going like if people are still here, I'm going to keep going with this. All right. It's now taken this and it's writing a prompt for me. Interesting thing about this process, right, is it makes it may not get it right, perfectly, but it makes the rewriting of prompts so much easier as you move forward. So I've like created a little machine here. And as you can tell, I'm not using any of my normal things. I'm just using the like a blank channel. And I'm using a blank ChatGPT. I'm not using any of our kind of internal tooling. I'm just using the things that anyone can do right now. So I'm going to take this and see if that's okay. Go over here. Let's see how it does. It may do better and it may not. Like some of these things are genuinely a process. But what I'm going to show you one more thing as we go is I'm going to show you permutations. This is my favorite Midjourney thing. So I've got my prompt, but in general, Midjourney is like not the most. It's not the best. Anything like it's good, but the way to get to something you really want is like a numbers game. You want to like really try and get as much output out of it as possible. So search Midjourney permutations in Google and you'll get a much better description than I will give you. But what I'm doing now is I'm adding the little curly brackets thing. And then I'm going to add some parameters at the end of this, which is the style parameters, but I'm adding 4 of them at once, which will mean it will then come back with 16 different images for me at once instead of 4. So I'll do style parameters at 300. I'll do 600. I'm also going to add in my original image into this. And I'm going to do image weight. Image -- image weight 0.5 dash. Sorry if this is a bit of a rubbish way of looking at things, but I'm just trying to show you a few stuff. So it's now. Oh, hello. This doesn't know my parameters. Okay, let's just do that. Let's do that and that. Okay, cool. Right. As I've come back, why is that not working? Let's see how bad I am at these things now. Okay. Sorry, I will come back to you in a second. Stand by, callers. All right. Look, so this is, I think these are getting better, actually. So this is my ChatGPT prompt. So I'm going to upscale a couple of these. It's not quite as in the same color space, but actually getting better as images of like useful. That's quite a pretty good image, actually. Useful, usable images that I can then start coming out from this. And we can see other ones that will come out from this as well. So I'm going to, I've got a few other things running. But basically, just to recap, I've taken something, found an image from Apple. We could go through this with Apple's brand all day or like any other kind of like brand asset. Describe it, imagine it, see what works the best. Take it over to ChatGPT, ask it to combine it, add in some photography detail. I can say like, this prompt is too long. Make it shorter and focus on adding cinematic composition. And it'll do it for me. So I've made a prompt machine. I've got my images going on over here. I've got other stuff coming out. So hopefully that is something that is useful for you guys to see as like this process. Don't worry about it being Apple or photography or anything. This process, it like extrapolates out. Like you can do this across anything because you create a little system that helps you understand what you're doing, rework what you're doing, and you just iterate fast. Because I actually think I've done one that is relatively good with the opening one. Okay, so that is like, opening one, not actually that well framed. I'm coming in and I've got this Apple one now, which is better framed. I think that's actually relatively within the same color space. Not bad. couple of other things, re-roll them. So you press this little like kind of circular button thing, re-roll it, away you go. Hopefully that was useful for everyone. I think that's a good place to stop on that, unless anyone's got any other questions. I'm going to stop on that. Here we are. Cool. We cool? We're cool. If hopefully that was useful. I'm on LinkedIn. If anyone wants to come and chat and hang out, and if you want to pose any questions, I am here because we've got some time left. But I think that was hopefully a useful thing for everyone. Awesome. Pleasure. Well, come look at Superside and all the stuff that's going on. Like there is way more stuff going on at Superside. Would you use stock images for asset hacking? No, like what we not generally. We mainly do it with customers' own images, but we can do. But mainly with customers' own images. Figure out the process, like on doing. I would feel comfortable with using stuff, anything like I just did, just Google Images to help you with the process. But when it comes to your own brand, like be deliberate about it. Be thoughtful, and like I am not in the kind of camp of plagiarizing artists and that sort of thing. I really genuinely want to try and make the work as deliberate and careful and useful as possible. Awesome. I'll just stand here awkwardly until Gina tells me anything else. Stunned silence. I don't know how many people are here. 31 people left. Cool. So is my little Apple thing going to turn on those emojis? This will keep me entertained for a little bit. Hey. Oh, it broke the camera. It broke the camera. Sorry. Cool. Thank you very much, everybody. There we are. I'm back. All right. Thank you. I'm going to log off with the rest of you.